question that frames this paper is, what do we need most for the preservation of languages and development of linguistic diversity in cyberspace? It's a conference about the preservation of languages and development of linguistic diversity in cyberspace, and what we need most is money. But in the absence, I can't talk about money. I don't have any answers to that question, so let's talk about data. Data is without data, you can't put languages into, you can't do any natural language processing. You can't do anything computational unless you have the words and various other information. So I'll talk about two types of data. One is we need the data to be interoperable. It needs to work from system to system, from language to language, in a codified way. If you just have one database over here and one database over there, and they don't speak to each other, you don't have technology. You're developing technology for English, maybe for a few other languages, but it's not percolating down to the other languages that we need. Okay. The second challenge is not just making it interoperable, but also getting all that data that doesn't exist as data, as stuff that's digitized and ready to use. And I'll talk more about that. First, though, interoperable data. And these are some of the slides you might have seen. What's the problem? We start with something like light. Light is not just one thing, it's several things. It's not dark, it's not serious, it's not heavy, it's not full of calories. And those might be different words in different languages. Now, we're using English as the base, but you might have all of these other words in French and in other languages. The English word net has 47 different senses of light. They're not all the same thing, although using computational methods, you end up sometimes quite often thinking that something can be both the noun light coming from the sky and the adjective light not heavy. But if we take existing data sources or if we take existing dictionaries, how do we separate these out into these different meanings? Here's from an old Tagalog dictionary, and we have light, and it's a bunch of different things, and we have no idea what those bunch of different things are, how to put those in the right, next to the right smiley faces there. This is even worse. This is a great Swahili dictionary if you know how to use a Swahili dictionary in print form, but it's a brick of text it's a brick that nothing can break in terms of data processing. This is a similar thing for Gujarati. I couldn't even look at that and begin to know what to do with those things. Somebody in India could, but there are a lot of different alphabets out there, and you can't process it as data. This is a more simple form. You can see it in Italian, and I don't think, but you can see there are a bunch of things that are light, and they're all just a single word in Italian, and you have no idea what those are. So this is not particularly useful, even for just reading in between English and Italian. These other things all around, so we've got French, Swahili, Finnish, Thai for each of these different concepts, and they all map to this central thing, light. Although conceptually, you only really have those different clusters. So they all belong in those different clusters. They don't belong, there shouldn't be that central dot. If you try to say what is one of those words comparison, in relation to the other language, instead of going from, say, on top, lumino to valorisa, for the Finnish word, you get into that tangle there, and you go through the central thing, and you could get any of those other, you could get this Taijan, that long word in Finnish. This is what I call linguistic linguini. How do you solve it? Well, you start with light, you say, okay, it's several different things, and each of those has different words in different languages. And so not dark is going to have a bunch of different meanings, and not heavy is different, and not serious is different, and not fattening is different, and you don't confuse them through that central dot. You can go in the other direction and say, okay, in French we have got léger, and it's got a bunch of different meanings that don't necessarily correspond to the English or to the Swahili or the Finnish or the Thai, and you don't get those confused. You can keep on adding more and more languages, still not getting confused, and you've got all your ducks in a row. This is what it ends up looking like. This is a brand new slide. I don't expect you to read all of those things. I expect you to look and see that the multicolored thing is what we do in Kamusi, which really gets that sense differentiation down. Google Translate is the comparison there and gives you basically a single answer. So that's English to Chinese on the one side, and the other side is Italian to Chinese, and in both cases, this method is demonstrably better, I think. Okay, so challenge 2, data that doesn't exist is data. For 7,000 languages, all of them have data shortcomings, English a lot less than others, but even English, and most of them have no operable data. 6,900 is kind of a generous thing. And I say inoperable, I don't even mean interoperable, I mean operable, like that type of technology stuff that you saw before, which is all just kind of a PDF of an old dictionary. Well, one thing we're doing is now, this software I'm talking about can be used in any language, all 7,000 of those languages. All you have to do is start typing the name in any language for which we have data, so we don't have all language names in all languages, but we have an awful lot of them. So you just start typing QUE, and you'll get anything that's listed using QUE. You can use the Devanagari script and get the Hindi names. You can use the Cyrillic script, and this is what it looks like on the telephone. And now, from now on, we're on our mobile devices because this is where most people are trying to access the technology, and we are trying to bring the technology to people so that they can do these things. We're trying to use the crowd, not trying to necessarily go to experts because the experts are busy and have all their other things, but the crowd, the people who speak the languages are often passionate about their languages, so if we can give them games and something to do, the theory is that they will eagerly participate. So there are several different games I'll talk about. The first is DUCS, because this is the one that deals with interoperable data. DUCS stands for Data Unified Concept to Knowledge Sets, so this idea of getting your ducks in a row. In this case, we're trying to identify matches between terms and their meaning. So we have a data set and we have a word, and we know that this word in this case is a bit. This word in Yiddish is said to match to an English word bit, but we don't know which bit it is. There are several different meanings in English of bit, and so we just ask the player, do you mean this bit, that bit, a small amount of solid food, a small fragment of something else, a unit of measurement on the computer, and the person can say yes, no, or let me think about it, or I don't know, and then pass. It's like swipe left or right like Tinder, and then you get points if your answer matches other people's answers, and we get validation if your answers match other people's answers, so we don't give you your points right away. Now, each one of these data sets costs a lot of money to configure because it takes somebody's time, and so I don't know how to put 10,000 data sets online until we get some funding for that, but this works, and we have Yiddish is set up, and we have some other things that are ready to go. Okay, and then there's data that can be both interoperable and doesn't already exist. First is word race. We basically send out a word to your phone, or we have it pre-programmed, and the person who submits the word in the fastest time after we get the consensus winning answer gets 5 points, and the next fastest gets 4, 3, 2, 1. So you're racing against the clock, but it doesn't you don't have to be online at any given moment because the world is round and people sleep, and so you don't get penalized for not being on your phone at any given time. You're racing against the clock, you're racing against the other players. You can see the clock over there, by the way. It ticks and gives you some adrenaline, you're boosted. And then we also have measures so that you see how your language is performing against other languages. You only see the missing words. There's a lot of stuff going on in the back end, so that if we already have that word in your language, you don't get it on your phone. Or if once we receive it, once we've gotten a winning answer, it kind of disappears from other people's phones. That's all what's made this take so long to develop. And the aim is for it to be addictive, for people to keep on wanting to play, for people to want their friends to play, because the more friends you have playing, the faster you get your points. And you can, and this is important for this group, by arrangement make this into a single player game where a particular expert has the authority to, if they say it, that goes. Because for small languages, if I have a threshold of 20 people, and there are 15 people who speak the language, and they're in the highlands of northern Peru, this isn't going to work for them. Okay, the next game-ish sort of thing is called hacks. This is a more relaxed game. You're not playing against the clock. You choose an area that interests you, and it can be actually a subject terminology, nursing, aviation, or whatever. And we're working on building up the packs. so on the far side is you choose your packs, and then you can see what is in the packs, and you click on that, and then you see you provide the translation in your language. You don't have to if you don't know the word. You can say I don't know it. And of course, we don't accept the first word that comes in. We only accept it if we've seen this over and over again, so that we know that it's valid. A way of speeding up the process is once we've seen a one word once, we can actually also put it into QuizMe. So it might go into WordRace, it might go into other systems, but it also goes into QuizMe, where we take the word that we've received, we put it up against a random word, so from the same language, and you can choose to say yes, this word is the same thing. No, it's not. It's neither of these, or I don't know. So we're doing error checking as we go along the way. You also have an opportunity to fix the spelling. This also makes it easier to pick up if a word like this thing in French, most people will type in lunette. And so if we see lunette, 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 we know that this is that's correct. But what if somebody puts in the word jumelle? Well, jumelle is also correct, so we want to be able to pick that up. So then but we might never see somebody else type in jumelle, so we'll through QuizMe, we'll eventually get an answer that that's correct. Whereas if somebody spelled lunette wrong, we'll also know that that's wrong, and that will drop out of the system. It's fast to play, it doesn't require much thought. You don't have to sit there and twist your brain about what is this word that I don't know, because you're looking only at the definition here. We're not prompting you with the English word. In this case, we've hidden the English word because we want to make sure that we're getting the right sense, not that somebody happens to know that this is, in this case, melt, the one that's on screen. Now this is actually coming at it from the dictionary side. If you look up, we have right now 42 languages, but there are more. The idea is to have all of them. If you go to the dictionary and a term is missing in your language, we tell you we don't know it. It's not like Google Translate or something else where they just kind of make something up. I call it the make up stuff algorithm, USA, and they do that all the time. We'll say, we don't know it, help us, give it to us. And then you fill in the information, and for lexicographers out there, there are some more complicated things that you can do to fill out to make sure that we're getting adequate information about the word. And then this will go into other systems to get validated by other users. Again, we're not accepting the first person who comes in with the first thing across the transom. And your name gets attached. You have to be registered in order to do this, so you end up getting credit for contributing to the dictionary for your language. Also important that we have definitions in your own language for your own words, because we're actually we're not talking about English words anymore. Now we're talking about words in your own language. So we're trying to build a sort of Oxford English dictionary for every language in its own. So one person will put in a definition, and then other people will vote on it, and get the point if they end up on the winning side, but you get 10 points if you get the winning definition. So if you actually have a good definition, you will get, if you have a better definition than you see, you can try to bump the other person out. We're going to apply that same thing to localizing the interface, and then later localizing other interfaces, but we haven't programmed it. But all of this stuff right now, the shell is all in English, and it should all be in other languages. And as we add on other features, you should get those things as things you can put into your language. But that's coming up later. We also have an example game, and all this stuff actually is all supposed to work on Facebook as well. We started programming in Facebook. We never introduced it because the mobile device seemed more important. Eventually we'll get back to Facebook. We've got this example game. Basically, you go on Twitter, you find an example that actually matches the particular sense that you're looking at, and then that example gets patched into the dictionary entry. This works really well for multi-word expressions. If you want to say something like run-of-the-mill, it'll find that for you, and you'll get everything having to do with run-of-the-mill. But if you want a word that's just a single word that has lots and lots of different meanings, like run, you will never find the sense of run that you want, or you're unlikely to. So there are advantages and disadvantages. Last slide. That's the web address. You can get the shorter version is kamu.c.here, but people bring you to the dictionary app. They will not bring you to the app I just told you about, because we haven't gotten that into the source quite yet. But when we do, it will update and give you that. This will just give you right now the dictionary with the 43 languages. But there's no penalty in putting it on your phone. It doesn't cost you anything, so I would urge you to do that now. It's free, and I would ask that you